Island has one of the more remarkable beer histories in the Chicago area. As some people know, Blue Island was an island. So 15,000 years ago, where we're sitting today, we would have been underwater. This would have been Lake Chicago. Because it was an island, when Lake Chicago receded and the glaciers left, and we have Lake Michigan today, it meant Blue Island was blessed with one of the few hills in the area. So when German immigrants started arriving in the 1840s, they brought a tradition of lagering, or storing beer. So because of the fermentation process and it was pre-refrigeration, they would store beer in colder climates or colder places. So beer would be brewed over the winter and then stored in the caverns in Blue Island and then ready for the summer. Blue Island may have brewed the first lager beers in the Chicago area. Bush and Brand was a big Chicago brewer who came down to Blue Island to open a brewery in the 1850s, and they brought lagering to Chicago. So the first beers they lagered were here in Blue Island, right about where the site of Metro South Medical Center is today. They dug into that side of the island and stored their beer there. So when Prohibition hits, all the taverns become soda parlors. And I think things probably stayed pretty much the same for a while in Blue Island.
Lake Chicago, just as history was born. An island bathed in azure blue, like miracle was formed. As time went by, the land when dry folks came from far and near. They said, we've got the perfect spot, what's missing is the beer.
My name is Brian Shimkos. I am 39 years old. I live in Beverly, but I've been transplant from Kansas, Northeast Kansas. I've been here for about 16 years now. I came in 1999 for graduate school at the University of Illinois in Chicago. I thought I was going to be going for a PhD, but after realizing that I wanted a little bit more of a hands-on type of a career, stopping with a master's was probably the best degree at that point to get. So then that ultimately led into the career now of brewer with a microbiology degree. We met at Flossmoor Station. Alan was helping the previous brewer. Matt Van Wyck moved on and to Oakshire on the West Coast, and that's when Flossmoor was looking for another brewer. So I came into the picture, and he had been helping with promoting shows and doing logistical stuff for them, helping with some of the bottle releases. And it quickly became obvious that he was one of those guys that worked well on the side of brewing that I didn't excel well at, which was the customer interaction, the sales part, putting yourself forward a lot of times.
Alan Cromwell, 36, originally from Park Forest, Illinois, and now live in Chicago Heights, Illinois. Graduated Ritchie's High School in 1996 and spent a very fun year in college just to go back to painting. Where I became a self-employed painting contractor all the way up until starting this project. Definitely the products he was turning out at Flossmoor Station were great, paying attention to all the factors that really create great beer and not letting something just say, hey, whatever. That's not his style, and that was something I was really fond of. Upon a first phone call even about starting our own brewery, and we just were talking about the South Side being desolate for not only craft beer bars, but a brewery itself.
Once we sat down and talked with the city of Blue Island, we had definitely come around to the fact that this is probably the place that we should look.
I think we tried to help with the location, finding something that was suitable, that would had some the ability to expand as well. We hope they stay here for a while and grow. As well as help them with the typical sort of things that lots of businesses need. Zoning. We helped provide better water service, better infrastructure. One of the challenges we learned right away, a lot of these buildings don't have the infrastructure that breweries need today, so we had to bring in a bigger water main. And also talk with lenders and let them know that the city was supporting the project.
We've gotten a lot of interesting history lessons about this building, but it is the Fiedler building is what it's called, but Fiedler Dodge was in this building, and that's not the only thing it's been since that closed down. It's been batting cages, a storage facility. So anything from all those, all the combinations of all those were here when we got here.
Luckily, both Brian and I had the wild-eyed enthusiasm of, all we got to do is clean the place up and paint it, and it's going to be great. The condition of things as we pulled the walls apart and stuff just maybe led to a little bit of groaning about, a little bit more time, a little bit more time. We made it all the way through it. Kept seeing the end in sight, and a day like December 6th or so when the equipment got delivered was a huge relief that we had turned the last corner and brewing was imminent, and we were on our way to actually finally opening a brewery.
One of the happy things for me about this project here and working with Brian and Alan, when we first saw the business plan, it was for Clamp and Gasket. That was the original name of the brewery.
The Clamp and Gasket was kind of thrown together at the last moment. It was a little clunky of a name.
Come to fall in love with the community. They changed their brand to Blue Island Beer Company. They added the bridges to their logo, so it's nice to see how they embraced the place.
After the number of times down here, we'd had a few pictures of the area, and that's actually where our logo came from, was a picture of one of our day trips down here, just out and enjoying some of the areas. And it turned into capturing this iconic picture of Blue Island that many of the residents really identify with. We kind of tapped into something that we didn't even know we were.
The man from the magazine, he said I was on my way somewhere.
You always have ideas on what you want to do. Probably concentrate a little bit on the tap room and the physical presence in Blue Island. Our goal is probably to drive as much traffic down to this area as possible.
Having this much room, we're ready set up to expand for production, so we can keep on making people aware of Blue Island all throughout Illinois if they don't know yet, and maybe even regionally someday throughout the next few states around us.
We love to support Blue Island in any way, promoting the maple tree and the rock island when people ask where we are, trying to encourage it to be a destination for craft beer drinkers.
I think being such a passionate Southsider and being part of the Southland community of neighborhoods and villages and towns and cities, we wanted to, I think, set up shop here knowing that the residents could be really proud that somebody was doing this in their town when it seems to happen everywhere else, and that you really knew where it was at. So if you saw it on a beer menu, you knew it came from Blue Island. Even if they don't say beer company after it, they say brewing or brewery, they're saying Blue Island first. And that's one thing that everybody can agree on, that at least they know where it came from.